Okay. So, hello, my name is Ponzio. For my senior project, I have worked with Alzheimer's patients at the dementia care in Concord called the Birches. So, the title of my slide is A Mile in Their Minds, and I want you to keep that in mind as I go through this. So, I'm going to start off with a quote. It's by J.K. Rowling, and it was given at a Harvard commencement speech. If you retain the ability to imagine yourself into the lives of those who do not have your advantages, then it will not only be your proud families who celebrate your existence, but thousands and millions of people whose reality you have helped change. So this is the Birches in Concord. I wanted to work there because I had actually found them through my mother. When I was thinking of senior projects and I was trying to find what my inspiration was, I looked to my grandmother because she had been diagnosed with a rare form of progressive Alzheimer's and dementia. On top of that, she is diabetic, so her health is really degrading at a rapid rate, and I wanted to do something important to me and my family, and I wanted to understand the disease more. So my mom she has a business, and through her business she actually met my community connection, Susan, from the Birches, and my mom had recommended me to them because I had been interested. They hurried to have me in, and I was quickly trained. I had to go through confidentiality documents, but then they realized I was a minor, and so they nixed it, which was great. But I'm still not allowed to talk specifically about them, so I'll talk loosely. So in the Birches, I found my inspiration. In the disease of Alzheimer's, in comparison to cancer, heart disease, and HIV, cancer takes $6 billion of research funding. Heart disease, a close $4 billion. HIV and AIDS, $3 billion. And Alzheimer's, $480 million. A staggering result considering that, compared to cancer, it affects nearly 1/3 the same amount of people as cancer does. It's the 6th leading cause of death compared to cancer's 2nd. It costs $172 billion yearly compared to 88.7. And 10.9 million unpaid caregivers work a maximum of 130 million hours that go unpaid. In comparison, it costs way more than cancer would, and it's terminal. 92% of breast cancer, if it lasts for 5 years, can lead to remission. There's a chance for survival, or at least lasting longer. Alzheimer's is very degrading and eventually gets to the point where they are reduced to symptoms such as sundowning, forgetfulness, and muscular degeneration. Specifically, I've seen this in my grandmother and the patients I've worked with, but my grandmother she's almost chair-ridden and a vegetable. She doesn't get around a lot, and we actually have a PT person come visit her. They suggest very easy exercises that we'd look at and say, what's that going to do? So, for example, I did this with patients at the actual center I went to work at. We do simple things with them moving their arms, because they have to be active. But a lot of them can't do that, but they can pay attention, so we try to engage them. But a lot of the times, what we are faced with is this forgetfulness and the sundowning. So forgetfulness is obvious. We try to talk to them and they forget what they're trying to converse and say. A lot of them even only can mumble. I've had times where residents can only speak to me with minimal voice and no understanding. And then I have the higher functioning people at the Birches that I've been able to work with and bless them. I've had some very amazing projects with them that I'll get onto. But there are some points in the day where people think that somebody's coming to come get them, that they just had a party and now their son or daughter is coming to pick them up. But in reality, we know that their daughter's not coming. And to communicate how sad this is and tragic it was for me to learn this is incredibly hurtful. It really hurt. But my community connection with Ms. B here in Bow High School, she actually told me a story about one of her friends who had a relative with this disease that would go shopping every Saturday and return everything they bought on the Sunday knowing that the person that they went shopping with wouldn't remember and had fun genuinely. So that's going to connect to my next slide. The people here are not our patients, they're our residents. It really connects to me because it's not somebody with a disease, it's somebody that's living. They still can live in the now. They don't have a sense for a past or a future. They don't see things in different colors. They see it as one means of going on. We look at things and we judge what our past is like, what our future is like, but to them, it's just living. And so that's just something powerful that Susan, my BHS Activities Director connection, had explained to me when I had first came there. So some of the things that my project was going over was how can you help the diseased or the family? And that was my essential question because it's honestly the most important thing that the families as well as the diseased are transitioned and taken care of. So some of the things that have been helping, such as the $480 million that's invested. Time with family members especially. I find that when I volunteer and I had made we made ornaments for a Christmas tree, and we made Stars of David for Hanukkah. Things like that was incredible because even though I couldn't have been there on the day that the family came, I knew that their family was coming. And that's important because to see them bright and to see them happy is the key. And on top of that, the family needs to know what they need to do. More than not, what ends up happening is a healthcare provider ends up suggesting a home that the person goes in because it gets to a point where the person can't function, where they can't walk without hurting themselves, and the family can't actually take care of them, and they become a liability. So having the smoothest way of transitioning the family into that is the key in fighting this disease for now. There have been studies and research that are going to prolong how long this can last, that people can last longer before having to go, but essentially there's no cure and it's all terminal. So the family needs to have as much time, precious time with their family that they can. And I found that these things help. So spending time with a loved one. To end off, I found the continuation of the quote from J.K. Rowling at her commencement speech to connect to the beginning. We do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better. This means a cure. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Cancer with $6 billion has a 92% chance of survival after 5 years. It's still terminal. There's more that can be done, and it needs the advertisement to the people. If people know how tragic this disease is, to see family members go from functioning to not, and still be alive, is terrific. And I hope that I've been able to portray that to you guys. So I'm going to ask, are there any questions? Thank you, guys. Oh, wait. Oh, I didn't look over there. I'm so sorry. Yes?
Can you explain sundowning?
So sundowning is when the family member believes that somebody is coming to get them or that there's some reason to leave, when there's really not. And it's sad to see in the cases that I've been there. And the thing is, the way that we were told to go about essentially keeping them there, because we know they're not supposed to be leaving, and it's the liability of the Birches in Concord to take care of the patient, is that we kind of have to drag them away from that thought. Because number one, we know that it's not a thought that they should be having because it never actually happened. But on top of that, we can't just release them. So, for example, one of the times I was working, we were at a Halloween party, and I had filled gift baskets with candy, and family members, children, people from the community gathered and celebrated. But one of the people had believed that after the party, they had too much candy and they were feeling sick. So they said, my daughter said she'd come get me and she'd pick me up. And we knew it wasn't a fact because the family has to call. So that's what sundowning is. Any other questions? Thank you guys then.